for joining me today. My name is Stacia Rice, and I'm with Avenue Realty. And today we're doing our very first, which that means I get all of the rope to hang myself with, but also please know that I'll get better at these. Our very first hero highlight. And so thank you today, Russ Handy, for joining me.
Well, thank you.
We are really excited to have a quick chat about a couple of really cool things. So let's just jump into what we're going to talk about and why, and that way it'll make a little bit more sense here. So all right, I'm going to share my screen here. Look at me with all this technology. I'm feeling very good about myself. So today we're with Sergeant Russ Handy of the Charlottesville Police Department. And again, this is our first hero highlight of a series. And really my purpose for this is really twofold. One, these folks, these first responders, these folks who are out here serving our communities every day have been doing this before our current situation, which has presented itself to be difficult for all of us. But they have, these local heroes have been giving their time, talent, and abilities to serve our communities. And I just wanted to have an opportunity to showcase that and tell you how much we appreciate you for that. Of course, on our minds right now is this COVID pandemic and how it's impacting us. But I think what's more important to realize is that for those who are very essential and who continue to serve day in and day out, there's impact for you as well. And I think a lot of us are curious about that. So Russ has been so gracious to help us understand some of that today. And then because honestly, I think we all are trying to find a way to do good in this scenario. We're sitting on our hands at home thinking, all right, well, the worst that's happening to me in some cases, now it's different for lots, but I'm just working in my pajamas and it's not, I want to find a way to give back. I want to give something. And so I thought what would be fun is to allow our heroes to choose a charity that we want lots of people crowdsourcing to get some attention to. So that's something we're going to do as well in just a little bit. And then how we can tangibly support our heroes as well. So that is the purpose of our hero highlight. And I'm hoping that this will catch fire and we'll get a lot of good happening out there in the world. So, so for right now, I'm going to stop sharing and so I can see Russ better. And hopefully this is all going to work. And I'm checking. Yes, I am recording. It's fantastic. I'm a little nervous about the technology. But so Russ, tell me a little bit more about your organization and your role, all of that.
Okay, we're a small department. We have about 113 officers right now, sworn officers. We are budgeted for 121, I believe. That's just sworn. Then we have our civilian staff, our admin staff. We service a city that's populated with about 50,000 people. That doubles during the day with when UVA's in, and then we have people commuting to the city. So that's a little bit about our department. I've been with them for about 13 years. Currently a sergeant. I left patrol 11 months ago, and I started the admin side. So I'm in charge of hiring and recruiting, which right now seems to be just a little bit difficult because of the current situation.
Yeah, tell me more about that, because I have to imagine, I mean, yes, the restrictions on the general public impact us in a lot of ways, but how is it impacting you and your role specifically?
Well, up until yesterday, the entire city was on a hiring freeze, so we were unable to continue with our hiring process, which we had started right before this COVID-19 had hit everybody. So we had to shut down. So now we're allowed to start rehiring as of yesterday. The issue with that is we have the difficulties with obviously the amount of groups that we can have at one time.
Mm-hmm. So would you normally have a big class coming in to orient and train and that sort of thing?
So typically we would have one testing group would be about 40 plus people in one area, and we would conduct a written test. Then we do our physical agility test. Sometimes we do on-site interviews with people while considering what's going on. we have to limit the group size. So that's going to impact our testing process. And that's 10 altogether. So you might have 8 people testing, but you have to have, 2 people providing the test. So that's just going to
slow you down.
It is just a little bit, correct, right. So if we're looking at sending people to the next academy class, which is in July, that puts a lot of work on us right now to get the ball rolling. And it's a challenge because of the restrictions that are in place.
Okay.
Yeah,
absolutely. Well, and I would imagine if you had hiring in place, you needed those folks to be able to do all the good work that you do for our city. Yeah.
It's like I said, it's going to be a challenge moving forward, but I think that we are up for the challenge.
Well, it sounds like most of your opportunities have been for innovation, and we're seeing a lot of us are doing that, right? We're utilizing Zoom, and we are trying to communicate more virtually, create platforms for that, and
we've become very creative. Progression has been forced upon us, but we've taken that and run with it.
But just to be clear, the police department is still doing the things that they used to do, right? We can all, we have an emergency, we still call 911. You guys
absolutely
are getting the job done. And that is the thing that's really tricky for a lot of us to remember is that, COVID doesn't get to impact, that service that you provide, and you have to do it at your own risk.
We're still going to respond to calls. You call 911. There's an emergency, the car is going to show up with the lights and sirens on, and we're going to take care of the call. You might see officers wearing gloves, mask, depending on the call, they might have a full suit on. We're going to protect ourselves, and, we want to keep the public safe as well. But we're still obligated to provide a service to the city, and we're going to continue to do that.
Yeah, and we really appreciate it because it's still so very necessary, right? That's correct. I think one of the big challenges we have with quarantine is that life does still have to go on, but we have to adjust to doing it just a little differently. And that can be exhausting, just, figuring out how to get to the grocery store. I can't imagine doing life-saving, emergent type work under those constraints as well. So, we really appreciate it. Absolutely. And I'm sure no one will mind if you show up with a mask as necessary.
You see it more and more each day with the public, so that's good. I actually, I believe that currently we should all wear them when we're in public,
Yep. Well, and isn't that great for the folks who are out there making them for us? And
absolutely. It's amazing. Yes.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. Even in real estate, we're still doing work. People need to buy and sell their homes, but we've got gloves, masks, it's kind of weird. I'm usually so in tune with reading people's faces and stuff.
Right.
And so it's a little harder with the mask, but it's important. And then we should all feel safe to be able to do that. It allows us to keep moving forward. Which is what we all have to do,
It's really sad to see what we're going through right now, but on the flip side, I love seeing how humanity is. Like, people have come together, working together. That's amazing. You see the good side of people during a horrible time. So it's really good.
I can't agree with you more. That has been so heartwarming, and it's so good to see. We see these communities, even in my own small community up here in Greene County. I love, immediately there was Facebook groups and reaching out, and you tell us if you need something, we'll go get it for you. And that's still happening. And we're now 7 weeks in or something ridiculous. It feels, I've lost track of time, if I'm being honest, but and that the longevity of how, we don't know, but people are still giving, they're still doing, they're still amazing out there. And so that was it's a nice segue. I wanted to kind of go into some of that, and I'm going to do a little share here because I've got fancy slides again. But for us to talk about how we can help the Charlottesville Police Department. And so I know a lot of us, of course, sorry. There we go. Keep moving. All right, here we go. So I wanted to, for those that have made us this far and are continuing to watch, I wanted to give a plug for how they can support, because I think that's one of the other things. There's so many opportunities to give and support, and sometimes we just don't know where would be most helpful. And so I thought I'd give you the platform to tell us how we could support CPD.
Well, as you have up here, it's very important with the mask. Like I mentioned a little while ago, I think that everybody should be wearing them. But the officers wear them when we're on patrol. We actually wear them within the police department, once again, to try to keep everybody safe. And they're disposable. So we go through a lot of masks each day. And then you start to see supplies becoming limited. So we use masks, we use the latex gloves, we use a lot of hand sanitizer, as you can imagine.
I bet, yeah.
Like a lot of first responders, like a lot of essential people, they're just, they're trying to keep everybody safe. So those things are very important. I will say that, the community has supported us greatly with food. They donate food all the time. We have people that make us cookies and desserts and bring them in just to say thank you. And, I appreciate that very much. It's great. But, the masks are very important.
Yeah.
If, those can be donated, that'd be great. It would help us out greatly.
That's awesome. Absolutely.
Like I said, we mentioned earlier about our patrol tactics, that they haven't changed a lot. We changed how we respond to calls. So I do ask that the general public, just be patient when we respond. Sometimes it might be a different response. It might be somebody suggesting that you file this report over the phone or on the computer, opposed to having an officer come out to your residence. Once
And
again,
you're talking about non-emergency situations.
Right, non-emergency.
Still call 911, but
if you lost your wallet,
Mhm.
or your car has a flat tire, yeah, you can report that online or over the telephone.
Sure.
So just be patient with us. Like I said, emergency calls, we're going to be there right away.
Yeah.
There's no delay in the response, but there's just going to be certain calls that we probably ask the public if they can report that online, just so we can minimize contact. It's not that we don't want to do the job. We just, we're trying to keep everybody safe. So we just ask people to be patient with us.
Sure. And obviously with non-emergency things, I think we can all understand that you're going to be, taxed, either with personnel and or just how frequently you want to be in front of people, right? And so if it's something that can be addressed on the phone versus having someone come to your home, then I think we're all of the mindset now, where we wouldn't have necessarily been in the past.
Correct.
It's okay to have that conversation in a different way, or report that information in a different way instead of in person, just to limit exposure. So yes. Yeah. All right, Russ, I'm going to give you an opportunity to highlight your charity of choice. So tell me a little bit about why you chose Feeding America.
Well, it's a great organization. It actually, if you go to the website, it'll take you to your local food bank. And during this time, and like I said, it's a lot of people have, they lost their jobs, or they're out of work for we don't know how long.
Right.
Resources are low. You have some markets. I know I live in a small town, and I'm grateful because I still have my job. I still have my income. I can go to the market, but there's, the shelves are bare sometimes. Well, you have others that aren't as fortunate, and, they would depend on their local food bank to help feed them, to feed their families. And, I would, like to see all of us at least contribute to the local food bank to help those that are less fortunate than us be able to take care of their families.
That's awesome. And this particular website that we'll be sending y'all to, like Russ said, you click the button and you put in your zip code, so it brings you to the appropriate one that feeds the people in your community, which is awesome. So if you happen to be listening to this in Iowa, it'll do the same thing. And that's cool from my perspective, because then that gives us a little bit more larger reach. And we're not, now we know Blue Ridge Food Bank and all of that, and those are great, but that's where we're going to get tossed to here. And then, but if someone else pushes the button, they'll get to theirs as well. And yeah, I want to echo that, especially in Central Virginia, we just have such a diverse community, a very diverse socioeconomic sort of outlay here. And I know that kids who were going to school and relying on those food sources, our schools have been doing a great job of giving them meals throughout the week.
Yes.
But it's not always enough, and some of these stimulus packages that are coming out of the government, those are great too, but sometimes there's time delays and sometimes they don't go as far as they might need to because quite frankly, we're not there. So yeah, these food banks really do help close the gap for a lot of families. And so I think it's really important that if you can, please click the button and donate. I'm going to do my best to set up a little button through the Facebook feed and all of that, and we'll get all the websites to take you directly to Feeding America, but I think Facebook will allow you to just literally put the money in right there, so that'll be great too. So all things considered, this was the big push for Hero Highlights as well, is that heroes are always doing good, but we want to help them do even more. And what better way to do it with a highlighted charity that they feel is important and we can all get on board with. So
it helps support your local community, so it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just as a little aside, so these hero groups that first responders and that encompass the firefighters, EMS, law enforcement, our military, and our healthcare professionals, our teachers. So I feel very strongly, and I have a program that I just wanted to take 2 seconds to highlight, which is our Homes for Heroes program. And Russ actually was my very first hero client, which was super exciting for me to ask him to be my first hero highlight as well. But we have essentially a program that is just big thank you. So if you buy or sell a home, while working with me at closing, you save money, and it's very simple. So if you have questions about that, you're welcome to pop a message in to me to be able to do that. But Russ, correct me if I'm wrong, but the only worst thing about doing it, you had to do it, was just working with me, right?
It was a great experience. I didn't know too much about the program. I had did some research. I was looking for a home about 4 years ago, and wasn't having any luck previously, and got online, did some research, saw Homes for Heroes, which brought me to you. I think at the time, it showed that you were still working out of Northern Virginia.
I was doing that, but yeah, no, Charlottesville native here. I'm calling myself this point. I've been here like 8 years. I can't even 10 years actually.
It was great. It was a lot of help. I didn't have a lot that I was working with, and I actually went into it with very little, and I actually came out with more than what I went into it with. And it was amazing. The experience was amazing. It helped out a lot. And, you obviously were a great blessing, very passionate about your job, and you're genuine, like you care about people and their needs. And not to put down anybody I worked with in the past, but I didn't get that from anybody else. Like my needs weren't important. It was more about, making a sale. And then when I met you, it was like you're very personal, so it made the experience, enjoyable for me,
I appreciate that. Now I'm blushing, and that was not my intent. But thank you. Yeah, I mean, honestly, it makes me feel really good because let's face it, we know we don't pay any of our hero categories enough money for the work and service that you do. And so, yeah, if you get a little extra to buy a nice couch at the end, like great. If it can help you with closing costs, that's fantastic, and there aren't a lot of opportunities to be able to give back in real tangible ways. And, I mentioned to you when we first started that, having been a military wife, I had a heart for that hero group. Then I had some health stuff, and then I had a lot of healthcare workers I needed to, thank. And so I honestly, it's just been such a blessing these last couple of years, been able to do this. And, I'm just actually grateful now that I finally got it together, and maybe I'll just thank COVID for that, to be able to have the,
that's that silver lining, you know?
It is not time. I'm going to be honest with you. I think it's more about the push to be able to really highlight all the good work y'all do and highlight this to its best advantage. So again, thank you so very much today
Thank
for
you.
joining me,
Thank
Russ.
you.
I really appreciate it. And I hope that everyone goes out there and clicks that button to donate to
Yes,
Feed
please.
America. If you have a business or someone that you're related to that can get their hands on some sanitizer or some masks and get them over to the Charlottesville Police Department, I'm sure they would be loving to have those. I'm
Yes,
sure you
yes.
could just show up at the doorstep with them, unless Russ, you
Also,
have any
you know,
recommendation of who they should talk to.
no, there's,
No,
I
just show
mean,
up. Okay.
that's it, yeah.
Works for me,
Yeah.
and we'll keep it simple there. But thanks again for joining me, and I appreciate anybody who made it to this point. But we will look forward to hearing from you soon. All right.